Let's talk about snowballing units and if you should do it or not. So what is snowballing a unit? Snowballing a unit is intentionally feeding one of your units a lot of XP, generally at the cost of other units, right? So like one unit gets a ton of XP, the other units get almost no XP. So in this case, in this particular playthrough, I am trying to snowball Lear and Chloe early so that as I enter the late game, we will be able to deal a lot of damage, do a lot of things. Maybe not even just the late game, like the early game, the middle game, pretty much all of it. Basically as I enter any stage of the game. So the idea behind snowballing is to power level something so that it's essentially overpowered, so that it can easily deal with enemies and just kind of do whatever it feels like in combat, while other units that don't snowball tend to need to respect enemy positioning more. They need to be more careful. They can't get away with as much. They tend to be worse at enemy phasing. They tend to have a harder time one-rounding. So the pros and cons of snowballing, I would say for pros, you have pretty insane units that can consistently perform. You have cheaper upgrades because you only have to upgrade, so many units. You don't have to upgrade like 10 units. You just have to upgrade like 5, maybe 6 to 7. So you have cheaper costs. You have room for utility, so you can still run other units that gain XP outside of combat. So the snowballed units are generally going to eat up all of your combat XP, right? That's what they're going to be doing. And your utility units, like your dancers, your staff bots, your utility staff users, they're going to be still getting XP, still leveling up, still contributing, still helping your hard carries, but they're not going to be competing with them for combat XP. So there's definitely a lot of advantages to running like fewer units. So if you run like 6 to 7, maybe 8 really strong units throughout a run versus a full team every time, I honestly think running a full team is much harder than running fewer units. I've seen like similar comments too in my comment section where people mentioned that they had an easier time running like -2 from deploy count. So if deploy count is like 10, they would run 8. And honestly, in some of my recent normal base game maddening runs, I found that I'll always have like 2 or 3 units that are combat units that just don't get kills because they just can't get enough XP because they're competing for XP. So I think it's definitely the case where you want to have like 30 to 40% of your team be utilities and then the rest are just damage carries.
Don't fear for me.
I think that's how you want to do it. But I could be wrong. No. I could be. I'm not saying I couldn't be wrong. But it definitely seems to be the case that having utilities that can generate their own XP through Bonded Shield, through dancing, through whatever, tend to do really well on teams with hard carries because then they can just augment them instead of compete with them for XP. So you can still run a full team, just run a bunch of utilities, have like dedicated obstruct and restore and physic users or whatever. Like you can still have dedicated units that do specific things, that perform certain tasks on your team. Alright, so let's do this. I guess we'll attack from here. She's to catch a heal. Okay, and I can illume. So there are multiple ways that utility staff units can contribute. So for example, I could illume here for free XP. I mean, it costs you money, but it's basically free XP in terms of it's XP that I wouldn't have gotten if I didn't use Illume. So now I have better visibility. And Fram is going to be one of my utility units. She is one of the best Bonded Shield users because of her supports. So when you are standing next to a unit that gives you support, or that you have high support with, you generally get, on average, high avoid increase. So getting high avoid allows you to dodge tank enemies and to be in really dangerous positions, but safely. And that is a huge advantage that, should not be understated. So she has supports with Alear, which everyone does. She also has Chloe. I'm pretty sure she has Anna. I know she has Chimera. So she has some pretty good supports. Those are some good units that can enemy phase pretty well. I'm actually going to allow Vander to kill this. just to make this position easier. So I'll feed Vander for once, just as a joke too, because I always talk so much crap about feeding Vander. All right, let's go here. Let's use another Illume. I want to dive bomb this Thunder. I'm going to be proactive. Yeah, we're going to dive bomb this Thunder before more enemies show up. Just get rid of him. And I think I'll Great Sacrifice. But any source of XP, like Great Sacrifice, Goddess Dance, Bonded Shield, Chain Guard, Healing Staff, any of these are free XP that you would not be getting if you didn't use those things, right? Like, these are not competing with your hard carries. These are not competing with other combat units. This is just free XP. Like, getting XP from doing this stuff, it's free. There's no... I mean, even if the staff costs you money, in terms of how the XP is, it's basically free XP. For XP economy, if we just consider it its own thing. But yeah, hard carries, I think, are the metagame. Now, I'm going to need to prove that, right? My 5-man run was kind of what has me thinking they're the metagame. So the 5-man run kind of revealed how absolutely crazy, like, if, you know, dumping all of your stat boosters into specific units and just power leveling them can be. So in this run, I'm going to be doing a 7-man run with base game, no DLC. So no Divine Paralogs, none of that. And I'm going to see how it performs. Like how a team with just like 4 damage hard carries, 2 tanks. Two of the tanks are also hard carries for damage. How that team performs, right? So that's what I want to test. So we're gonna figure it out. This situation. All right, can you guys kill this? I don't think they can. All right, Vander, he can do this. I want to dive this. These axe units are actually very deadly. Let's see if we can just not get hit. Perfect. We just didn't get hit. That's better. Just simply don't get hit. All right, and then if I want to, I could put some chip damage on him. He has a melee. Dagger. Then I can obstruct. Obstruct, Illume. You know, these are free XP. It costs you money, sure, but it's XP you wouldn't be getting otherwise, and it definitely matters. All right, we'll put Vander up here so we can get that kill. Someone else. All right, there we go. So I'm feeding Chloe, I'm feeding Alir. Those are my 2 hard carries. Yunaka's not going to be running this particular playthrough. This video is also the video for my 7-man. Like, this is also the 7-man thing. So I'm going to try to do videos while playing the 7-man playthrough so you can track the progress of how it's going while also there being a topic video. So that's the goal, right? To be able to do 2 things at once. So, alright, so that's pretty much it for the hard carry concept. The snowballing. I'm going to talk about utility units probably in the next video. But also, to wrap up, you don't really need that many units early game. There are tactics you can use to kind of cheese some things, but also to power level your early units. Let's use Shine, why not? Shine is nice. So yeah, that's it for this one. Definitely like and subscribe if you enjoyed this or found this useful. Feel free to drop a comment as to what you think the metagame is for normal maddening play on base game. I think hard carries makes a lot of sense. Snowballing specific units, dumping all of your resources into a small select few units so that they can easily deal with large volumes of enemies, I think makes the most sense. You can enemy phase effectively. But I'm open to other arguments, so alright, peace.